once again, welcome back to the Dr. Balmer channel. Now, I have been playing around a bit since I noticed that the settings of 106 and 107 B clock weren't completely stable for a long run, but they did work for benchmarking a bit. So I thought that maybe we can see if we can push this a bit further with higher voltages now that we have installed the NHD15 beast of a cooler on this test bench. So maybe we can increase the voltage a bit more and on the CPU and have a bit more fun. Yeah, why not start with by raising this to 107. This would mean that we get a memory frequency of about 2 GHz and a CPU speed of 4387. And also we should get, let's see here, 19 multiplied by 107, a 2033 Northbridge clock. So yeah, of course, I don't know if the memory will manage 2 GHz or not, but if this works, then the idea is that we should apply a bit more voltage. So for the CPU, instead of running offset mode, okay, I can only run offset mode, can I? Okay, so I saw that during load, this offset resulted in ADA64 of about 1.4 volts. So why not increase this offset to 0.1 volts? And see if that works. So yeah, let's just try that. So let's save changes, and I have saved my profile. That worked. So let's see if we boot at all. We do post, but let's see if we blue screen with the device unavailable or something like that we got in previous attempts a few videos back. Yeah, it seems that we get stuck here on loading Windows. And then, yeah, inaccessible boot device. So, okay. I'm thinking maybe instead of pushing B clock, which could of course be the cause of the boot device error, what if we set this to 100 and if we set 43 on the CPU multiplier, and then because the B clock itself, the bus could of course cause issues with the storage devices maybe, so we can't go so high on B clock perhaps, but if we are investigating the CPU only, then we could we know that the B clock of 105 did work, but then we would end up with a 4515 on the CPU, and that's probably unreachable right now. We could of course set 42 here. Then we get 4410, 1959 on the DRAM, and 105 times 19. So let's see here, 105 times 19, that's 2 gigahertz on the North Bridge. So this 1959 speed of DRAM should also work. So in this case we keep the B clock at a known working value of 105 while getting up to 4.4 gigahertz on the CPU. So let's try this instead. Save changes. Because we have still increased the voltage to the CPU, so let's check if this makes any difference at all. We got this far actually. Alright. So we haven't run the CPU at or above 4.4 gigahertz yet in this series of overclocking the GTX 950. So let's see if this is stable enough for a 3D Mark run. So yes, let's see here. I kind of want to try Firestrike first. Just running the full HD preset. So it did finish, and we got 25-35 points. But I actually saw, maybe you also noticed, a little bit of artifacting. So this mainly tests the GPU. So I just want to check that we are still in the same category of points and stuff. But we did get a bit of artifacting actually, just tiny amounts, but this means we aren't 100% stable on the GPU memory. And what are we running? We are running 880, I believe, on the MEM. Yeah, 880 on the MEM offset and 195 clock. So we will perhaps change those values, but let's just get a run in 3D Mark. And as usual, we shall start with Firestrike. Let's see here. 5897. And the previous highest score reported was 5886. So yeah, we gained 11 points, right? And a new world record for this GPU-CPU combination of the GTX950 paired with an AMD A10 7850K, running at 4.4 GHz or so now, right? Alright. Great. So let me note this down. Comparing the numbers then. So we have a clock of 4411 on the CPU. The north bridge is 2 GHz. I would like to see that one a bit higher. So we can see what we can do about that. It should give us another score boost in the Firestrike, I think. And the memory is running at 1060 effectively. So yeah, we got 5897 and GPU score 7604. We have been higher on the CPU. 7637 we've had at 870 mem. And physics 5284 is a bit higher, and the combined score also jumped up a little bit. So I will attempt a rerun actually, because that has helped previously a bit. So let's do a rerun and see where we end up. So once again, we didn't crash at least. $58.69, a bit lower. So we almost reached 5,900 points, but not quite. So let's see what happened, right? GPU dropped a bit, 7604 we had, now it's 7580. Physics 5284, pretty much the same, and combined fell back a bit. Okay, but let's do a run of Time Spy. And see how it is affected of the higher CPU core clock, and if we crash or not. We saw some artifacting in Firestrike, so let's see what happens here. Okay, so Time Spy wasn't stable, unfortunately, but let's investigate. I believe that since we had some issues with memory, let's set it to 870. So because we had some artifacting, and I know that TimeSpy isn't really tolerant to such things. It could be, of course, the CPU overclock as well, though. So, yeah. Okay, it seems that we did freeze up here. So yeah, not really stable. Some DX call failed. Okay, so I want to check in ADA 64. Let's see here. Go to sensor and then stability test. So here it is reporting 1.44 volts. .45 almost. So okay, the voltage is pretty much up there. I don't know if we want to go higher than that, but okay, let's stop this test and get back into BIOS. So basically the CPU speed was okay for Firestrike, but it wasn't enough for TimeSpy. So what if we set this to 43 and then we lower this to, let's see, 103, maybe. The memory is at 1922 then, but we could get an increase on the North Bridge. If we set it to 20 times 103, we should get 2060. What about 104? 4472. And this I'm wondering. So 19 times 104. That's 1976. 20 would be 2080. Yeah. Let's see first if we can boot like this. Because now we have an even higher CPU clock, a little bit, by 10 megahertz or so. So if this works to boot, then we can go back into BIOS and change the north bridge to a 20 multiplier. And if Firestrike manages that, okay, clock watchdog timeout. To me that indicates CPU voltage. So let's see what we can do. So for the fun of it, then, let's set 0.125. And see. Momentarily, I think it should be fine. Perhaps not running 24/7 on such voltage settings, but let's see if it makes a difference. Ooh, we certainly got farther into Windows loading. Look at that. So let's check in Ada. .46 volts we're up to. 870 on the MEM. .48 volts, 1.47. So yeah, this is pretty high, I suppose. Okay. So let's stop this one, and yeah, I kind of yeah, let's do a Firestrike run here. So 58.96 points. That's 1 point off of the previous max score we got before. So I can immediately see the graphics score is a bit lower, but let's investigate, because I think that you might see something interesting. So 58.96 and GPU 7604. Now we got 7582, but we have lowered the memory by 10 megahertz because of the artifacting we got in Firestrike. So we could up that again. And then physics 5284 we had, and now it's 5348. And combined 2346, 2351. So yeah, let's rerun this again, but this time let's up the memory frequency on the GPU back to 880 offset. for a moment. So 5896, and let's rerun this again. Oh yeah, so apparently that is how it's done. 5901. We have passed 5900 for the first time, and we passed it with 1 point. Yeah, let me save this and compare the numbers. So we can see that yeah, actually 1975 on the North Bridge. So we can see that we have a 60 MHz faster CPU clock, and we have a higher physics score, basically the same combined score like previously. But I wonder. Actually, we had a 210 core previously, and now we have 195 actually. So let's try to set 210 and see if we can make that run. And actually the bus is 104, so I shall set 104 here. I believe I had the same here, maybe. I'm not sure, but so yeah. Okay, but yeah, let's try that. At least we have 5901. We only are 99 points away from 6000, and yeah, I don't think we're gonna reach that, but yeah. But this was very uplifting to see. Finally, we passed 5900 points. I thought it was yeah, unreachable at this point, but 210. Let's see if that will work. And run this again. So, a slightly lower score. We're not seeing the 7.6 on the graphics, and physics is up, but yeah, we haven't really gained that much. But I'm thinking, let's actually reboot into BIOS. So I kind of want to set this to 2000, and then we get 2080 due to the B clock here. And maybe North Bridge maybe set to 0.1 offset, and Yeah, let's try that. We know we had problems at 2100 North Bridge. At least we're posting. Okay. So we have come so far at least. Okay, let's keep these 880 and 210 settings at the moment and go into 3D Mark. And now let's try Firestrike again. Oh my, that's quite the improvement by 18 points, 59.19. Yes. So let's compare the numbers. Okay. So now we got GPU score of 7615. We have been higher. 210 core, 870 mem. But system RAM was a bit higher. But okay, 7615. And let's see here, yeah, 870 mem. Physics 5375, a little bit more than previously, and combined pretty much stable. So let's try to perhaps set this to 875. See if that does anything. It's not always the highest is the best, so. Results are incoming. 5912. So yeah, a bit lower, but yeah, still not bad. Below 7.6 thousand on the graphics score, but physics 5378, which is quite high. Yeah, I would like to get into BIOS one more time. So, could we somehow get a little bit more out of the DRAM? So if we're going 105 on B clock, which should be okay for a B clock, we would end up with the 2100 on the North Bridge, so, and that didn't work previously, so we would have to lower that one. and we'll get 4515. Let's try that and simply see if it boots. Ooh, we actually got this far. Let's see what we got. So 4516 megahertz on the CPU, 1995 on the North Bridge. Yeah, DRAM is a little bit faster now. Okay, so let's set 210 and 880. And just do a Firestrike run, see if we can get through it. Let's go for a run. Okay, so we did a run, but 5848 is lower indeed. So the North Bridge clock did help quite a bit actually. And I suppose that well, let's try to go into BIOS. We can try, of course, 2000 and then 0.15 just to see. That's good. But the question is still, is it stable enough for unexpected kernel mode trap? Yeah, that doesn't. So okay, 105. Sure, we got the faster CPU and RAM speed, but okay, how about, let's see here what we can figure out. So this would give us 4.5 gigahertz, but 2000, and we can't really get to 2080 was okay, but 2100 was a no-go. And we had we can lower this back to 0.1 volts. So let me have a think. Yeah, so would this work? 106 on the B clock. It would get to 4558 on the CPU though, which might not work. And DRAM speed is closer to 2000 megahertz, but and then the North Bridge would be about 19 times 106, which is 2014. Well, we can try it. I would suspect that the CPU isn't stable without further frequency voltage increases, perhaps. So actually got the login screen. But we got stuck here. Yeah, watchdog timeout. Indicating CPU voltage once again. So CPU voltage, oh yeah, what's the next step? 0.135, 0.15, 0.135, 375. Okay, let's try that. Hopefully it won't kill the system now. I guess it shouldn't die before 1.55 volts or something, but oh, okay, Windows now will ask me if I want to repair, so one moment. A new reboot after Windows asked me what I want to do, because it couldn't start Windows last time. So let's see if this time works better or not. Okay, we did get a bit further now. So we have 2014 megahertz on the North Bridge, 4.558 megahertz on the CPU, and the RAM is a lot faster, a little bit faster, almost 2000 megahertz. So now let's run 3D Mark. So at least it loaded up. Let's go for Firestrike and do a run. Let's see what we get. Ooh, 5942. Well. I'm pretty amazed, actually. 5942. That's a huge jump. And I believe the North Bridge, and of course the system RAM, and a little bit faster CPU as well. So yeah, let's compare the figures. Yeah, so as we can see here, the GPU is at 7600, so there's no big gain there. We had 7615 previously, so if we run this a few times, then maybe we will get even more out of it. Physics jumped up quite a bit thanks to the clock frequency increase, I suspect, and the RAM frequency, and the combined score also jumped up a bit. So 5942, yeah, that's pretty nice actually. But yeah, it would be nice to get the North Bridge higher without, yeah, but okay, I think 107B clock didn't work, at least. So then we got the problems with the storage, the blue screen with the inaccessible boot device. So it's about what we have to play with. But for now, this is awesome. 5942 on a GTX 950 and 7850K, that's great. So yeah.